And a lot of the work that my company does kind of falls into three categories. The first is training and development, stuff like this, where we do training classes, workshops, and so forth. The second is executive coaching, and it's where I have a number of, it's what we did here at Oakcraft for quite some time, where we took all of the key leaders, and instead of having, training classes on how to be nice or something like that, each of them had homework assignments, books they had to read, things they had to track and measure, and then they'd report back to me. So over a year, in real time, I got to work with the different executives and supervisors and stuff here, and that's why, and some of the quality stuff where 8 out of every 10 cabinets that Oakcraft built were as good or better than anything on the market, and usually better. The problem was there was 1 or 2 cabinets that didn't always work right, and if that was your cabinet or your job, it created some challenges. And what it allowed us to do was to get all the different perspectives in the organization around why quality and stuff was going on, and we got to sort out the whining from the real problems, and then we could work collectively on getting it done. When I do that kind of executive coaching, this material I'm going to present to you today is where I really start with. We measure how do you see yourself, how do other people see yourselves, what drives that, and a lot of the executive coaching, the way I'd ask you to use this is, as you listen to this presentation this morning, I'd like you to kind of mentally make some notes. What in my life do I need to get rid of? What are some beliefs, some assumptions, some attitudes, some behaviors, some patterns that as you listen to this, like, you know what, he's right. That's probably something I need to get rid of in my life. And then the second thing is, what are some things you need to add to your life? What are some things you need to start doing or do more of or do more consistently as you go through this? Because again, temptation as we go through this material is to focus on all the other people who really need this stuff but aren't here. But you're here and you need it. And so to look at what can you do to kind of improve the quality as you go through. I call this a catalyst for excellence because I'm going to share with you some statistics about what causes people to be good leaders, good managers, and what causes them to perform well over time. Not that they're not talented. On different professional sports teams, are there talented athletes that aren't successful with their teams? Can that happen? Repeatedly, right? This is not an assessment of talent. This is an assessment of effectiveness, and that's kind of what I want to look at as we go through. This is, by the way, the most popular keynote speech that I give. Of all the keynote speeches I give each year, this topic is requested more than everything else put together. A couple of working definitions. I'm going to define for our purposes emotional intelligence as this. It's the capacity for you or I to recognize our own feelings as well as the feelings in others people. How many times have you had a bad day and you've got that kind of look on your face and you come to work and people go, man, are you all right? Yeah, why? You look mad. I'm not mad. Next person, dude, who's eating your cornflakes, man? What's going on with you? Nothing, man, I'm fine. And you're really upset, but you don't know you're upset. Has that ever happened to you guys? So emotional intelligence says, can I recognize what's going on in myself? And probably most importantly, can I recognize what's going on in other people? Have you ever mistaken someone's politeness for interest and you kept talking? I have. And it creates some real problems. Emotionally intelligent people have the ability to look at and read other people as we go through. Number 2, they have a capacity to motivate themselves and other people. I love this example because it fits so well for all of us. Are there people who know that they should lose a little weight, exercise a little more, and eat a little better? Yeah, it's okay, don't point, it's rude. And do all of us know how to do that? Like, we know how to eat better, right? We know how to exercise more. And some of us even buy, like you finally, the Bowflex commercial got to you, you bought it, right? Or the elliptical or the tread climber, whatever your thing happens to be. And you use it twice, and then what happens? Exercise art. You use it to decorate your room. Exactly. Clothes dryer, all kinds of stuff. What emotional intelligence does, it allows you to look at what prevents you from doing the things that you know you could do and what allows you to move forward and make that happen. Next, people with a high capacity for emotional relationships, they have the ability to create and maintain relationships. Some people are what I call first date wonders, right? You're really great on the first date because you got your stick, and then after that, you're so shallow and you suck that there's nothing there, so you got to move on to another person. Some people have the ability to connect and build a relationship, but they can't maintain it because they don't have the integrity, they don't have the emotional intelligence, they don't have the ability to work with people over time. All they do is blame everybody else for everything that's wrong. Remember we talked yesterday about at some point in your relationships as a manager or in your home life, you have to make the decision that your capacity to become more patient is got to be greater than your desire to make the people around you change. That's really what I'm going to define emotional intelligence as. Can you build and maintain relationships? Can you motivate yourself and others? And do you have the ability to understand your own emotional state as well as the other people that you're with? Now, research, and this is kind of a combination of some things that Daniel Goleman has done, Harvard Business Review has done, the Sloan School of Management has written some articles. There's probably 1,000 articles on this topic. I took 3 or 4 of them and culled it into the most important points. Number 1, IQ is what gets you into your field. If you want to be a mechanical engineer, you got to go to school and pass the mechanical engineering test. If I want to be an accountant, I got to go to school and I've got to develop a literacy in accounting. In whatever field you're in, IQ gets you in. Does that make everybody has an accounting degree, everybody has an engineering degree, everybody in executive suite has an MBA? That just gets you in the door. There is no correlation between IQ and running a successful business. Zippo. How many of you know really smart people that can't run a business? How many of you work for them? Don't raise your hands. But that's real, and sometimes you wonder, you go, how did this happen? This person is so stupid, I can't believe they're in charge. There's no predictive ability. In other words, I can't say, wow, you did so good at Harvard MBA school, you're going to do really great in our company. As a matter of fact, some of the brightest people out of the most elite schools are so emotionally unintelligent, they're screwing companies up. People have stopped hiring some of the elite people because the track in business to go through an elite business education, the value set that you developed is the antithesis of what you need in the workplace to go forward. Second, emotional intelligence is twice as important as cognitive ability in predicting employee success. Now I want you to think about that when you're screening, when you're interviewing, when you're looking at who to bring on, and I got to tell you, this was one of the big things with Oakcraft. As we started to change our performance parameters and started shooting for excellence, what we found was there were some people that just didn't have the emotional intelligence to do it. We would give them feedback on where we had a variance between our stated goal and what we wanted to do, especially around quality issues, and their response was to go out to the shop floor and yell at everybody to motivate them to do better. Did you kind of get the lack of it? And those people are no longer with us. And it's funny, we didn't have to fire them. They left because the demand to be emotionally intelligent was too high. Now when we started hiring, we changed our hiring practice, and the new people we brought in, this was the first thing that we screened for. This is probably the most intelligent figure I'll give you. 85% of the ability that separates high-performing leaders from mediocre performing leaders is emotional intelligence. In other words, when we looked at a group of high-performing and mediocre performing, not bad, not just mediocre average guys and top performers, we're looking at what's the difference between these two. 85% of the difference between them could be accounted for completely and wholly through emotional intelligence. Hence my reason that I told you guys that came this morning, this is going to be one of the most powerful sessions of what you're going to need to have to go through. Some facts, and this is one of my favorite things. The people in organizations who achieve the most creative breakthroughs are not those with the highest IQs. Again, it's the people who have connections with multiple people in the organization. And we talked yesterday about listening to different voices. And remember with Nokia, and we talked about the cell phone business and what they did. Because of that, they see, hear, feel more, and therefore they make more creative and better decisions. Secondly, these people, managers generally don't fail because of lack of technical ability. Again, this is some great research on managers who failed, were fired, were let go. And they took thousands of them, so you have a good database, and went through and looked at why. They didn't fail because they lacked technical ability. And I want you to think about every place that you've ever worked, and I want you to think of different managers you worked for.